A good way to start the fight is to ask Jay about the 21. No, I'm not going to do that. The homework
is the 21.
the 21 martyrs topic, where we had
that okay.
We didn't even fight about that. I just asked you a clarifying question, and then because I asked you a clarifying question and you gave an answer to it, then all hell broke loose. And then,
well, I do have a tendency to be skeptical about those kinds of videos and claims when they come out. That doesn't mean that I know for sure what happened, but I do believe that there are fake flag events and there are staged things. I'm not saying that I know that one was, but there were people at the time questioning it.
Wait, one second. Yeah. So I wasn't, when you said they weren't martyrs or something like that, did you mean because they're not Christians, or because you think it was staged, or because it was for some other reason and had nothing to do with them?
Two separate issues. So one thing that made people mad was I was saying that even if they are dying for the name of Christ, in the Orthodox Church, they can't be martyrs in the calendar, saint martyrs. So it doesn't mean that I know their destiny. For all I know, they could be in heaven with God. I hope so. But in the Orthodox Church, we can't, for example, make Thomas Aquinas, a saint in the Orthodox calendar, because he wasn't a person who died in the Orthodox Church. So we couldn't say in good conscience or good faith that they're Orthodox saints. But separate from that, there were a lot of public news articles and people doubting the footage when the footage first dropped. So that's why I had doubt on it, was people analyzing the videos. And also, I think the source is somewhat dubious. I don't trust site intelligence or Rita Katz. So I just simply had questions and doubts, but I don't know for sure what happened.
Do you agree with the statement that is kind of famous? We know where the church is, but we don't dare say where it is not.
I think it's liable to being misused. It can kind of give the impression that everybody's in the church or something like that. So if it's kind of misused in that way, I would disagree with it. But it can also kind of express the same point I'm making, that we don't say where God's grace isn't working or is working. We don't know that. Mm-hmm. All we know is that, it's like Paul says in the epistles. He says, we don't judge those that are without, we judge those that are within, because that's our communion. So, I just don't know people's destinies. I don't know anyone's destiny. So
nice. Except destiny. Javier said this is cool, but everyone is here to hear about the 21 martyrs. So here's the thing.
We covered that earlier, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, but pretty much. Here's the thing. When I first heard about the 21 martyrs, I had lots of respect for them. As I go into the Orthodox Church, I still have very much respect for them. And as I'm looking into iconography, enriching my home, our home, and our prayer space with iconography, I came across the icons of the 21 martyrs, and I saw that some of them are even sold on very prominent Eastern Orthodox marketplaces and all that. So what I immediately did was I asked my spiritual father and said, so since these people were not from the Eastern Orthodox Church but from the Oriental, can we consider them martyrs? And what he said is, of course, that there are different opinions and different views on this, but while we don't include them into our official list or calendar of martyrs, there is nothing wrong with regarding them as martyrs and considering that they were specifically killed because of their belief in Christ, and that they have been, even in the worst case, we would consider that they have been baptized in blood. So he said there is nothing wrong with going ahead and considering them the martyrs. But he also pointed out that there are, of course, different opinions on this kind of stuff. So to my understanding, I wouldn't have a big problem with you, for example, stating that we don't officially consider them martyrs in the strict ecclesiastic sense.
And I did, when I mentioned the Hezbollah guy that was killed and that Hinkle was calling him a martyr, I wouldn't use that term for either Coptics or for Shia from the Orthodox theological position. But that doesn't mean that I know anyone's destiny. I don't know that. So that's the only sense that I've ever even heard martyr used. But maybe there is this colloquial sense where people use it just in the sense of anyone dying for a cause. And I guess in that sense, you could have Buddhist martyrs, I guess. It's an odd usage to me because I think of it in terms of the calendar, but I don't know the Coptic people's destiny. I would not honor the Coptic martyrs just because of the theology of it. The same way I wouldn't, like, for example, I have some of my old Roman Catholic stuff around. I have an Aquinas icon up there, and I kept it because it's part of my past. It's my history, being really into Thomism in my 20s and whatnot. But I'm not Roman Catholic anymore, and it's not on my icon wall. So personally, I wouldn't put, say, the Coptic martyrs on my icon wall. But if a person feels drawn to that and they feel like that they did give their life for that, I can't judge you for that.
Yeah. I have an example of this one, which Maximilian, and kind of same mindset, I guess.
Yeah.
Where I wouldn't put this into my prayer corner, but I have it here just because I have respect for him and all that.
I remember one time some of the extreme ortho bros, they saw my icon of Aquinas and they were arguing that I was like still secretly a Roman Catholic, and I was like, it's not on my icon wall, man. It's on my bookshelf. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I guess, to be very honest, I also fell into this very same thing when we started getting more and more bitter toward each other. Before we ended up, the response that you gave when I asked you about the Coptic martyrs, which was kind of comparing them to the Hezbollah leader, I understand the context of what you were saying.
I wasn't saying that. Yeah, they're equivalent, literally.
But without understanding, somebody who doesn't know the context, that response seems really, really bad. So
I understand.
And I think I played into that as well, to be very honest. So.